Welcome to Cruise News, your daily update on everything happening at sea. Visit cruisenews.io to see today's stories and sign up for email alerts.
And a very warm welcome to this deep dive. It is Tuesday, January 20, 2026. I hope your week is off to a really good start.
It is, yeah.
We've got a stack of stories today that, on the surface, they look completely disconnected. We're talking new taxes in Hawaii, we're talking shipbuilding in Chile, and then a wine award in London.
Right?
But when you actually line them up, they tell a really specific story about where the cruise industry is headed.
They really do. I was thinking about this, and it feels like a snapshot of the industry's evolution. It's all about intentionality.
Intentionality, how so?
Well, you have governments being intentional about who they tax and why. You have engineers being really intentional about how they power a ship.
Oh.
And then you have sommeliers being intentional about what they pour. I mean, the whole one-size-fits-all model of cruising seems to be, fading away. That is a perfect way to frame it. So let's start with the one that's going to hit people's wallets. Anyone thinking about a trip to the Aloha State in 2026? Well, the price just went up.
Significantly, yeah. And this isn't just a rumor. The notifications are actually going out to guests right now.
We're talking about Norwegian Cruise Line. They've started telling guests about a new tax. And usually, when we talk taxes and fees, my eyes kind of glaze over a port fee here, a customs fee there.
Standard stuff.
Exactly. But this feels different. This feels like a fundamental shift in how a state sees a cruise ship.
It is. It's a huge shift. And to get it, you have to understand this acronym, TAT.
CAT, right?
It stands for Transient Accommodations Tax. For years, if you, flew to Honolulu and booked a hotel in Waikiki,
You paid it.
you paid the TAT, or if you rented a condo on Maui,
Yeah.
it's a lodging tax. The logic was always, you're staying here, you're using our infrastructure, you pay.
But if I was sleeping on the cruise ship docked right there,
Yeah.
I didn't pay it.
Exactly. The ship was seen as, transportation,
Yeah.
a self-contained bubble. But Hawaii has just flipped that logic. As of January 1st, 2026, they're saying a cruise passenger is effectively a transient guest.
Just like the person in the hotel. And they want their cut.
They want their cut.
So let's get into the numbers, because this isn't some small fee. I was looking at the breakdown, and it's not like $10 a day.
No.
It's a percentage, right?
It is, yeah. It's an assessment of approximately 14% of the cruise fare.
14%. That's massive. If you're in a suite that costs thousands, that is a huge chunk of change.
It's huge. And the breakdown is fascinating. You've got the base state tax, that's 10.25%. And then on top of that, there's a 0.75% green tax.
Okay, I want to pause on that green tax. That's not just a buzzword they threw in there, is it?
Not at all. Governor Josh Green has been very clear about this. He's linking this money directly to climate resilience, and he's specifically referencing the awful Maui wildfires in 2023.
So it's for a specific purpose.
A very specific one. They think that little slice alone, the 0.75%, is going to generate $100 million a year.
Wow.
So this is for protecting the islands.
Okay, so state tax, green tax, but you said 14%? There's another layer.
There is. The individual counties in Hawaii can add their own surcharge of up to 3%. So you stack all three of those, and yeah, you're hitting that 14% mark.
Okay, here's the part that I found really confusing. The reports say the tax is prorated. How do you prorate a cruise fare? Do they just slap 14% on my whole $2,000 ticket?
That's the million-dollar question for the cruise line accountants right now. And no, they don't tax the whole ticket. They only tax the portion of the fare that corresponds to the time the ship is physically in Hawaiian ports.
Okay, so let's walk through that.
Hmm.
If my cruise is from Vancouver to Tokyo and we stop in Honolulu for, 8 hours?
Right.
I'm not paying 14% on that whole 2-week vacation cost.
Correct. Your tax would be tiny because your time in port is minimal.
Yeah.
And this is where Norwegian Cruise Line gets hit so hard. And think about the pride of America.
Ah, right. The only big U.S.-flagged ship that stays in Hawaii all year round.
Exactly. Its entire business is sailing between the islands. It's almost always in Hawaiian waters. So for that ship, the proration captures nearly the entire fare.
That is so ironic. The one ship that's contributing the most to the local economy year-round is the one that gets hit the hardest, tax-wise.
That's the irony. And the numbers, they're just staggering. The reports show that guests on a normal 7-night Norwegian sailing are seeing an extra $250 to $500 added per person.
Wait. Up to $500 per person?
Per person?
For a family of 4, that's $2,000? That's another vacation right there.
It's a serious line item. It totally changes the value calculation. You compare that to a repositioning cruise like the Norwegian Spirit from Tahiti. The tax on that is maybe 60 or 70 bucks.
So the whole system kind of discourages the really immersive local itineraries.
It definitely puts financial pressure on that model. And just to be clear for everyone listening, this tax is on the fare. It doesn't apply to your onboard spending.
Oh, well, that's a small mercy, I guess.
Your spa treatment, your dinner, those are safe.
But surely Norwegian isn't just taking this lying down.
Oh, no, their lawyers are very busy. Norwegian, along with CLIA, the Cruise Lines International Association, they're challenging it in court. They're calling it unconstitutional.
What's their main argument?
It's basically about jurisdiction. They argue you can't tax a moving ship that's involved in interstate commerce the same way you tax a fixed building on land. They're saying, we are not a hotel.
But in the meantime, the passengers are paying.
Yep. It's a collect now, maybe refund later strategy. They're charging it to be safe, but they've said if the law changes, they'll issue adjustments. And it's not just them. Disney Cruise Line has also started sending out notices.
It really feels like a turning point. Instead of just limiting ships, Hawaii is saying, you can come, but you have to pay for the upkeep of paradise.
It's changing the narrative from tourism as a gift to tourism as a transaction. And other places are watching this very, very closely.
I bet they are. If Hawaii wins this, you can expect to see these kinds of taxes everywhere.
Absolutely.
All right, let's leave the accounts for a minute and talk about where that money is supposed to go protecting the environment. Because down in Chile, a new ship is trying to solve that problem with engineering instead of taxes.
Yeah, this is a much more hopeful story. We're heading down to Valdivia, Chile.
This is the Magellan Discoverer.
Uh-huh.
And the big news is that it has officially floated out. Now, for anyone who isn't a ship nerd, explain what a float out actually is.
It's a huge milestone. It's the moment they flood the dry dock and the ship touches water for the very first time.
So it's a test, really.
It's a giant stress test. It proves the hull is watertight. It means all the heavy steel work is about 90% complete. From here on, it's all about outfitting the wires, the furniture, the tech.
And this ship is for a company called Antarctica 21. The first thing that struck me was the size. It's only 94 meters long. That's tiny.
It's tiny. Maximum capacity is just 96 passengers.
But then the notes say they only sell 76 spots. Why would you build a ship for 96 people and then not sell 20 of the tickets?
It sounds a little counterintuitive, but it's actually a brilliant solution to a very specific problem. Antarctica 21 does these fly cruises.
Right, for people who want to skip the Drake Passage.
Exactly. They fly you over the Drake Shake, that notoriously rough water, and you land on an island in Antarctica where the ship is waiting for you.
So the bottleneck isn't the ship, it's the plane.
Precisely. The plane they use to land on that gravel runway has a strict passenger limit. So the ship's capacity is actually dictated by the aircraft.
That is fascinating, an air-sea bridge. So what about the ship itself? What's under the hood?
This is where it gets really cool. It's a hybrid electric propulsion system. It uses M engines with something called ABB azipods.
Okay, break that down. What's an azipod?
So a normal ship has a propeller out back and a rudder to steer. An azipod is an electric motor in a pod that hangs under the ship. The whole pod can rotate 360 degrees. It pulls the ship instead of pushing it. It's way more efficient and makes the ship incredibly maneuverable, which you really need in the ice.
And the hybrid part means batteries, I'm guessing.
Big ones. A Corvus energy storage system, basically huge marine-grade lithium batteries.
So it can run silently, like an electric car.
For short periods, yes. But the main benefit is something called peak shaving. So if the ship needs a burst of power to get through some ice, instead of firing up another diesel engine, it just draws from the battery.
It smooths out the power usage.
Exactly. And that makes it drastically quieter. And in Antarctica, that really matters. You're trying not to disturb the whales and the penguins. It's about being a polite guest.
This is the second ship ASENAV has built for them, right?
Mm.
It seems like this small, high-tech, Chilean-built model is really working for them.
It is. It proves you don't need the massive European shipyards to build these world-class expedition ships.
You know, speaking of high-tech, I have to ask about this other ship in our notes. The Captain Arctic. It sounds like something from a movie.
It really does. It's being built for a 2027 launch. And if the Magellan Discoverer is like a hybrid car, the Captain Arctic is, I don't know, a futuristic sailboat.
It has sails.
It has 5 rigid aluminum sails with solar panels built right into them.
Solar sails? That's amazing.
They're aiming for a 90% CO2 reduction. And get this, it uses recycled wooden waste pellets for its boiler, so it's running on sun, wind, and recycled wood.
It feels like a new kind of space race, but instead of the moon, everyone's racing to get to the poles with the smallest possible footprint.
That's the new currency in expedition cruising. It's not just I went to Antarctica, it's I
Yeah.
went and I didn't mess it up. The luxury is the clean conscience.
Well, speaking of luxury, let's pivot from the icy ends of the earth to the absolute pinnacle of comfort. Let's talk about the world.
Ah, yes. The world. The floating city.
For anyone who doesn't know, this is the ship where people actually own their apartments. They live on it full time as it sails the globe, and apparently they are very thirsty.
Frogs chuckles. Let's say they have very refined palates. The World just won Best Ship Wine List from the World of Fine Wine magazine.
And this isn't a new thing for them, is it?
No, this is their 11th consecutive year winning this award for over a decade.
11th year. What does it take to win that award 11 times in a row? It can't just be having a few good bottles on board.
It's about the scale, first of all. The ship has a cellar with a 15,000 bottle capacity.
15,000. That is a serious seller.
It is over 1,200 different labels from 22 countries, plus sakes, plus spirits. But the real wow factor isn't just the size of the collection, it's how they source it.
What do you mean?
Well, most cruise lines stock up from a giant warehouse in Miami. They load the same wine on every ship. But the world is always moving, so they source locally.
Ah, so if they're sailing around Japan.
The beverage manager is on the ground, buying rare sakes directly from the brewers. If they're in the Mediterranean, they're picking up local vintages you'll never find anywhere else. The wine list literally changes with the map.
It's a living document.
The ultimate souvenir. You get to drink the place you're visiting.
But they're taking it even further now. I read about the World Barrel Program. They're not just buying wine anymore, they're making it.
They are. This is that trend of vertical integration hitting the luxury space. Their first vintage is called the Journey.
Very appropriate.
It's a 2022 Bordeaux blend. And they didn't just whip this up themselves, they partnered with Villeneuve.
And who are they?
They're owned by the Cazais family. If you know wine, you know that name. They own Chateau Lynch-Bages. This is serious blue chip winemaking.
It's incredible. It's not about the money, it's about having access to something nobody else has. I'm drinking a wine made just for my home.
That's exactly. And they just hired a new beverage manager, Lubo Stoyanov, who used to be the head sommelier for all of Oceania. The pedigree is just off the charts.
There was one other detail I found really interesting. Even on this ultra-luxe ship, what they're drinking is changing.
You saw the wellness angle.
I did. Non-alcoholic wines.
On the world. The wellness trend comes for us all. They've brought in a whole curated list of non-alcoholic wines, plus a lot of biodynamic and organic options. I think even the super rich want to live longer. They want the fine dining ritual, maybe without the hangover.
You know, it actually connects all the way back to the Magellan Discoverer.
How do you figure?
Well, whether it's the fuel going into the engine or the wine going into the glass, the trend is cleaner.
Huh.
It's about removing the impurities, whether that's sulfur in the wine or noise pollution in the ocean.
That's a brilliant connection. And if you layer the Hawaii story on top, it's about paying the true cost of that purity. Cleaner fuel costs more, better wine costs more, and maintaining a pristine island costs tax dollars.
That feels like the big takeaway for 2026 so far. Cruising is maturing, it's getting more specialized, more responsible, and yeah, more expensive. The cheap, generic vacation might be fading in favor of these very curated, very intentional experiences.
I think you're right. It's becoming about the privilege of access, and that privilege now has a very clear price tag attached.
I want to leave our listeners with a thought on that Hawaii tax. We talked about how it's prorated based on time in port. If other places start doing that, taxing ships based on how long they stick around, could we see a really weird incentive created?
What do you mean?
Could we see cruise lines designing itineraries to actively avoid land?
That's a very provocative thought. Like, if it costs you $100,000 in tax to dock for 2 days, but zero to just stay at sea just outside their waters.
The ships could just become these floating resorts that barely touch the destinations they're supposedly visiting. And then the local shops and restaurants lose out on all that business anyway.
The law of unintended consequences. It's a delicate balance for sure. We will definitely be watching to see how the itineraries start to shift.
We certainly will. Thanks for listening to Cruise News. Visit cruisenews.io to catch up on the latest updates and sign up for free email alerts.